All right, what's up, guys? Quick sound check. Let me know if you can hear me. Happy Tuesday. Sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what was up, but my internet just would not connect this morning. So, um, I'm just now literally like 9:29. It came back on. Super convenient. All right, let's take a look here. We're at 222,000 contracts traded for the S&Ps. We got big moves in crude. That's the big mover that I see at the moment, which unfortunately is happening in the overnight session again. I was kind of looking for that to occur today, tomorrow, and get this big move down into like sub 80s on that, but not happening. In the gold market here, we had a nice push, 47.55s in the overnight session. We're down, I don't know, 85 points or so off those highs at the moment. So I still like this for a move, another 40 points lower, give or take, and then some potentially. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. NASDAQ, I'm watching here this 280 quarter level we had in place, and you can see we're pretty much holding that. I mean, we traded 279 quarters, pretty decent, about a 100-point pop off that so far. Total range on the day, 97 points. So I am interested in longs. Targets would still be those 482s, but at the same time, I'm also looking at like what the Dow's doing here, and I'm like, Dow's kind of absolutely getting wrecked initially. 200-point range so far, straight to the downside in there. So I'm not a huge fan of that in the face of what NASDAQ is doing, but if we're seeing that flip-flop again today, then obviously it would make sense. And then S&Ps here, we got a little bit more room, 8 or 9 points maybe, see if we can pop up to those 77.05s. And essentially I'm interested above there, but getting to there, I'm not super concerned by trying to put a position on there. So I also kind of want to just like take a second, since I feel like I was a little rushed with the internet issue there. There is something potentially here with Moderna as well, up over 156.80s. Could potentially look at a little something in there. Damn, these options are so expensive. The old Moderna looks to be back though. Yeah, I think that's the spot. So I'm gonna chill initially here. I wouldn't mind Moderna. I think up over that 156.80s, it opens the door for a lot of room. S&Ps looking like they want to make new lows. Level invalid. No, that's valid. S&P's, that low is 92.50, that low is 92. There is a little divergence there. NASDAQ new highs, only market now getting a little bit of fade on that. S&P is right back to opening print. I don't want to get I don't want to get trapped in this anywhere. You know what I mean? We got the Dow pushing down here, about to grab these 510s. We just traded 510s actually to the tick there. $257-point range on the day. We're currently sitting right on this 510 level here for the Dow. We have opposing divergences at the moment. The Dow has a divergence for a potential long here, but the NASDAQ has one for a short. Obviously, I don't want to short the NASDAQ here. It's 100 points still left to go until it gets to 480s, but I'm struggling with the idea of longing the Dow just given the weakness that it has at the moment, essentially off the rip this morning. So I'm kind of conflicted there. S&Ps I really can't do much with until we get over 77.05s, I don't think. By that point, NASDAQ might already be up at 482s there, given the way in which it's moving. I would love to say that I have a position on in NASDAQ from 280 quarters, just looking to ride it up there, but I don't, so and I'm just watching the Dow here to see if that can actually hold or not. I'm kind of leaning towards a no. And Moderna needs over 156.80s. I'd be interested there. NASDAQ almost up to overnight highs there. Dow looks like it wants. Can that go back to 234s? Either hold here off 510s and can try to rally, or this little rally that it's getting back to 510s would be a short for a move to 234s. NASDAQ catching a little weakness there off the new highs. Gold still pushing lower there. 414s we traded in NASDAQ, so we're off about 50 points. AMD and NVIDIA making nice moves. S&P is back to opening print. This is probably, if NASDAQ's going to go do it, this is probably the pullback. Traded down to 57s there. S&P is retesting open. I don't know what I think about the Russell Dow kind of combo at the moment. It seems like it doesn't want to go higher, like at all. We traded 511s on that test there for the Dow. And the level's 510, so we're literally right there at it. If we can get a 5-minute little sell setup potentially in the Dow, I would be open to it. And the only reason I'm waiting is that us pushing through like 20, 30, 40 points, I'm not going to assume that to be a full failure yet. I'm also thinking too, potentially, if this is the relationship and NASDAQ doesn't hold this pullback and wants to fail, then the Dow probably gets a little bit of a rally, NASDAQ goes lower, and we do that whole little flip-flop intraday thing again that I would much prefer not to see. Jesse James. Cowboy, shoulder the rope and ride. 6-shooter riding my pony on a cow track. Those campfire songs. S&Ps don't look great there either. NASDAQ with a big topping tail. Cowboy, find a rope and ride. Wearing my 6-shooter, riding my pony on a cattle drive. S&P's new lows. Meanwhile, Dow is putting in a slight bottoming tail. Oh, this market. That Nasdaq got wrecked right there. The Dow traded 513s on that. I don't know why, but I'm kind of thinking I should be short the Dow. Nasdaq is coming down a bit and Dow is trying to pop, so that relationship there seems to still be the thing. Is that... Yeah, it's opening print there for Nasdaq getting tested. Nasdaq still coming down here. It would kind of make sense. It would kind of make sense, I feel like, if Dow failed. Just a big gap up over 675s. We sold straight through 675s. We're now down here at 510s, getting some rejection. We traded up to 517s there, so not a crazy rally back through. It's not a ton of time here either. Like no reaction really, so to speak of. 234s is down there below. Yeah. There's not a bad little 2-minute in here. I mean, essentially shorts would be right here, 489 by, let's call it 519s. Let me just punch this in. It's a 2-minute, so $53, 489, 53, 519. Take profit is 53, 234. Wait, we didn't take that. There you go. 2 minute, so I don't know if it holds, but risk reward wise, it's an 8.5 to 1. That's not bad. Yeah, we might need one more pop over 517s yet. It's kind of my thinking at the moment. But if we don't, this is a pretty good risk reward trade here. If you think Dow can get all the way down there into 234s. Like I said, I think we might try and pop these 517s one more time. It would make sense that we get a little bit more of a push out of this. We also do have the S&Ps putting in a little bit of a divergence here now as well. Maybe we see NASDAQ kind of come down and pop this as well, which it just did technically. Trading 276s here, 278s. Time for NASDAQ to rally and Dow to sell off again. Traded 515s there. Here's that push back up through 517s. Depending on how far this goes, and then getting kind of back down there under like 490s potentially, we can play with these numbers a little bit. Like I said, it was just a 2 minute. I think it might actually have some legs to it if Dow is going to fail, which we've seen this happen recently quite a bit, where we just fail and keep dropping into the abyss. The only thing here we have is that NASDAQ might want to hold. Unless it doesn't, and then we're in a situation. S&P's new lows, Russell new lows, NASDAQ new lows, sitting right on this 280s. Dow is trying to stay under these 510s here. NASDAQ starting to lose those 280s a bit here now. You could try shorts from here. 497s basically by 23s. 25, 26 points worth of stop in there potentially. It's pretty close to the same trade as what we had marked up. I don't know if 23 was enough of a rally there. Starting to lose those 280s out of NASDAQ though. Sitting right on 510s at the moment. Would have to wait now back under. Problem is we just don't have a tight 5 minute. Maybe we see NASDAQ rally back to 280s. And then if that can fail, then we're good to go here. I like this because the risk reward is great. it's tough to sell this when we just sold off, 300 points basically, but S&P is kind of looking like they're failing there. We never got to 77.05s. NASDAQ here is now under 280s. I still think Moderna probably, regardless of what market does, tries to go higher. And I'd still be interested in longs in there once it gets up through. Or if NASDAQ manages to hold these 280s, then obviously that's a different story. But at the moment, and this chart right here is, unfortunately, considering it's Moderna, is actually kind of pretty. NASDAQ just traded 279.75s here. And Dow is trying to give it everything it has to hold here. NASDAQ initial rejection off 280s there. You got a bone to pick with me? What'd I do? What'd I do? It wasn't me. I don't know. I didn't do this. It's not my order. Called him up and said, hey, give me the toughest market conditions that make absolutely no sense. Like, yeah, market makers, just fuck everybody. Longs, shorts, people in cash, just get everybody. Dow's maybe trying to hold here. I don't think it does, but I'm gonna give this a little shot to the downside here. Those lows are 501s. I kind of want to wait for this bar to close, which is about 30 seconds here. Don't go too far. Just hang out right here for a second. Although we probably need another 5 minutes on that 15-minute bar. These nuts. NASDAQ back here at 275, trying to push those 280s again. I don't know if that fails or turns into a divergence that rallies to go get new highs. Is that a rejection off 280s, or is this us trying to push back up over it? If we can push down under 53,500s for the Dow, I'm going to try a short with basically a 30-point stop up over those 527s. So if we can push down under 53,500s here, take out this last little 5-minute low, that 2-minute bar, the whole thing, then I am down for a short. I would really love not to get just like ticked in, which is what I just got ticked in. So let's see. See if NASDAQ wants to reject there as well and go lower with us. But I am short the Dow here. I am short the Dow. I may not like it here in a minute, but we'll see. It is very, very tight. There we go. Looking at about a 9-to-1 risk to reward ratio here. And again, if we just get ticked in, then that's going to be super unfortunate. And what do we trade? 532s? I didn't set a stop because I had that. I was messing with that. It tested it. I don't love that. We traded 499s. Literally ticked me in. Should not have rallied back immediately like that. NASDAQ looking like it wants to go lower though. That's a pretty decent little rejection out of that. I don't know where it goes to the downside, but all right, Dow. All right, I'm flat the Dow. Well, that didn't work. That's annoying. One tick. Literally. I did say it probably needed an extra 5 minutes for that 15-minute to finish setting, but that's annoying. I don't blame you, Fareed. No, I don't blame you at all. NASDAQ rejected off those 280s now, making new lows. Meanwhile, Dow is rallying after that little 5-minute trigger there that immediately turned on us. I don't know where NASDAQ goes is the only problem. Do we go down here and get these 29.011s? It's like 200 points lower, 230 points from here. We front ran that in the overnight session. I can see that. Those highs are 285. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of this whole Dow rally, Nasdaq sell off type of situation here. If we're not actually going to sell, which I guess we've sold off 150 points or so off highs in Nasdaq so far. 400s to 250s here. Yeah, no, for sure it is. The only market that's rallying at the moment. The only one of the four is the Dow. Russell here is still putting in topping tails right around this 3006 area. Nasdaq here putting in new lows again now. But no, the Dow wants to rally. The only thing I don't love is the Dow didn't hold 675s. Like, that probably should have held. Like, we got the gap above the level, we pulled back. Same thing with Nasdaq, right? The 280s should hold. And it did initially, right? I mean, we traded 279s on that first pullback and rallied to, 400s, a high of 414s on the day. Gold should have probably pulled back another like 25, 30 points off of its lows, and we'd be good there. Yeah, maybe it just needed a test. You think Nasdaq holds here? Yeah, it's just such an ugly topping tail at the moment now. Like, I don't know. If we can get back above it, then if we get back above 280s, then maybe. But I was gonna put up a video last night on Instagram, but I did it in the free nightly video either way. Basically, just this 766.74 level for the SPY and 762.92s, and like essentially, if we stay in between those areas, in between those two levels at the moment, then it's pretty much a do nothing day. And currently, that's exactly where we are. I mean, we traded 766.78s. So 4 cents through the level, it's like, Yeah, clean entry would be nice. This is Dow getting that first bar break here. Nasdaq still continuing to roll a little bit to the downside here. Will be slightly. I think the best thing at the moment on the board is one, either Dow gets back under these 510s and we look for shorts. You could make an argument that the first pullback to 510s again, if we get it, you could try longs. I don't know that I subscribe to that at the moment. Or Nasdaq getting back over 280s for a potential long here, but it's going to be 1022. We would probably, it did be preferred if that did it in the next like 8 or 10 minutes. At the same time, that's also going to be where Dow potentially sets up for a struggle here. So if it sells off in the next 8 minutes, 7 minutes, and if the argument is that markets go from level to level, then SPY essentially should go back down here to 763s essentially, and that would be 7663s for S&Ps, which is about 20 points lower. And I don't know, Nasdaq did technically front run that 2911s we talked about, so maybe it's trying to get down into there. Netflix and Moderna do not seem to care, more so Moderna. Obviously the Dow and the Russell not getting new lows there with the S&Ps and Nasdaq. Does the Russell try and rally some here? Doesn't look great. 300930s right there, that little pop high. I don't like that. Meanwhile, Dow, ooh. Dow getting a little rejection from there. We got 4 minutes. I kind of like that. Well, the Nasdaq's pushing back up, so yeah. Maybe Russell tries to push over those 0930s. Triggers at 15 and tries to do something, but I guess overnight highs are like 30.25s. 16, 17 points away. Risk reward wise though, you're looking at like 5-point stop, so it's 3-1. Not bad, but also there's no level here, there's no nothing. Imagine Russell just does its own thing. S&P's, Nasdaq are essentially flopping here. Fish out of water, don't know what they want to do. Dow here can't figure it out either, and Russell just powerhouses its way back up to the opening print and then some. I mean, Nasdaq here kind of seems like it still wants a little lower. It's either that or Russell fails, and this rally is essentially going to be the entry for the next short to go down and get those 29.99s. That high is 560 in the Dow there. Do we short this? Holy shnikes. Excuse me? Literally, do we short this? We drop 100 points. We traded 76.63 quarters to the tick there in the S&Ps. Yeah, that would be the only thing, is if we can hold it and flip. But I still just don't. I mean, it kind of ruined the chart. What did Trump say? What did Trump say? Damn, Russell wants to rally. Russell does want to rally. Russell was literally right back up to where the whole thing started. I don't know how to play it, but unless we just use like 3006.50s or so, give it the room, but kind of would like a small pause or something in there. The deal we had planned is now moved to a new deal that will be planned, but we'll never make the deal, so we'll just keep saying we have a deal and we will make the deal. I thought you were actually quoting it for a second. I was like, oh, a new deal. Doesn't sound so bad. Good old Trump markets here. Gold's going a little higher there. This might be that little pause here out of the Russell that we need. That low is 0830s. I'm going to try a little Russell. Nothing too crazy here. Yeah, no, he just tricked us on that one. They literally say that all mines are removed. Would that be a good thing? I don't know. I'm trying Russell small long here. It held the best. If this fails, then I'm out of here. There ain't no sense in me sticking around for whatever this is. Move my stops to even on gold in 30 seconds. I get taken out by a point on that wick. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Like I said, I'm trying this Russell. I don't know where it goes. 30, 1980s would be new highs on the day. If NASDAQ can rally back to 280s, that's not terrible. I don't know, maybe this gets back to opening print. S&Ps are technically just trapped right between the two levels here. I mean, taking a small NQ long. Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I think this little pullback here to 205s off that and trying to rally here. The open on that 15 is 214s. So I think as long as we try and hold that, we should be fine. It's kind of what I'm looking at here for the Russell is just see if that can't make the move. Those highs were 285 quarters. Opening prints 297. Yeah, I suppose we get through there, we should be fine. I might be able to take some risk out of this at the moment. I was using a 2-point stop on the Russell, and we're up about an hour and a half now. Gotta think I can probably cut that risk in half. That low was 0830s. This 2-minute low, 0910. We probably shouldn't come back down there. That's also the open of that new bar, 0910s. So yeah, I'm gonna let this try and do its thing here. Oh wait, 30s. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it alone. Yeah, it did. We traded 76.63 literally to the tick. I'm debating if longs are, specifically this Russell, is worth it. Nasdaq maybe gonna erase that bar. 5 minute chart, not really able to get anything moving there. And Nasdaq, Dow here still trying to sit right on top of these 510s. Russell is right back down towards my entry here. That's tough. Yeah. Super, super tough. Traded on the 191s there. I don't know about these markets. I'm trying to sit with this Russell at the moment while watching NASDAQ essentially immediately reverse the rally off the reversal of the news spike there. And now I'm kind of like, I might just pack this up and go do something else. Russell's about a point away from my stop. You took the Russell with me? Well, don't blame me if it stops. Because it looked good. And then it didn't. Gold's making a nice little rally there again. Couldn't quite get down to those lower levels, it is technically back above the open for the day in there. See what silver's doing. Silver's technically back above the open. Silver's had a nice pullback compared to gold. Currently long a little bit, yeah. To be fair, I still like this Moderna. It just needs to get up over the level. And Meta here actually trying to get back up over this 566 is maybe a little bit. That's not terrible either, but I'm not going to try and get too heavy one way or the other here. I think Moderna is actually a player now. Up over this 156.80s here, I think it probably goes and gets. It's got those 194 highs up there that we never tested from the overnight. That I think it probably wants to go get. Russell is managing to save itself a little bit here. I can tell you what I will be a little bit upset by is if the Dow actually does make this move now. And wants to go get those 234s. I'll be slightly upset by that. It'll just be unnecessary. It's just like salt in the wound. I think we had a really good trade potential in there. And it kind of looks pretty good again, but that's the problem with conflicting markets like this is Russell doesn't look terrible for a long. It looked better, obviously, 7-8 minutes ago when it was up at 30 12s, 30 13s, whatever it was. And it doesn't look terrible now. Like we could still technically erase this and go back through highs, but the Dow looks good to the downside. NASDAQ here is kind of just nowhere. So what do we do with that information is the question. I kind of just want to say we pack it up and go away. We haven't retested these 280s yet for NASDAQ though. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. For us to get another divergence, though, that means one of these markets has to go down to those lows, which is a move. I'm probably about to get stopped out of my Russell here. My stops are at 0770s. I have been spared by one tick so far. Is what, 150 points, 170 points back to highs here for NASDAQ. What are the chances NASDAQ goes back and gets 482 still? I don't think it's great, but I have been spared in the Russell so far by one tick. Dow traded 471s there, now trying to get back up through here. This little high for NASDAQ was 268.75, so maybe if we can get up through there and 280s, and then maybe the Russell still has a shot at doing something, or it can get pulled up by NASDAQ. The Dow's back pushing towards these 510s here. Yeah, Dow's back over 510s. I don't know. This stuff is messy. Might get taken out here. It just, I don't know. Every time we get some sort of tweet news type situation, I feel like it ruins the day. We got Moderna getting this push up through this 156.80s up here. I don't know what we do with it, but the 160s have decent volume, like 30-cent wide spread, but they're $7. I need to let it confirm though. That's going to be the only piece. I've been stalking this thing essentially all morning. I feel like I probably should have a piece of it, but can go dangerous. Yikes. Dick's Sporting Goods getting absolutely wrecked. 27% to the downside. I just saw, I think Ralph posted about that in the chat. Whew. I was just there this weekend too. Yikes. That thing got hurt. I know, I'm thinking the same thing in Moderna. It was 194 and change, right? Yeah, 194.88s. I mean, up through these 156.80s, there's really nothing there. I thought about that a little bit ago. I talked about it. The 180s, I guess, are $2.30. The 190s here, $1.29. That's not terrible. I mean, 190s at $1.30 isn't bad, because that could just be like first little stiff. It gets 3 nice days to the upside. I mean, in essence, anything up through 170 kind of gives us, you know, basically that 200 target, maybe then some. I think I grabbed levels earlier for it. Yeah. There's a level at 194.60, level at 198, and a level at 202.22s. I mean, I like it. It's now just gonna run away on us though, unfortunately. Russell has spared me by 1 tick. Is now pushing these highs. I'm gonna go for gold. See if that can't just go get 520 or 30.25s up here. Just look to assume that that's the trend in there for the day. We just popped that little high there. Market kind of looks like it wants NASDAQ at least a little lower still yet. It's probably a smart decision to take it off. Book some profits, but I think it's got a lot of room to run if it wants. It's gonna be tough if NASDAQ does want to fail. NASDAQ popped back up there to 250s. NASDAQ would need essentially to turn around like here probably if it's going to hold. What's he saying? I thought, wasn't he supposed to speak tomorrow? They're supposed to speak one day this week at like 4 something. I saw it on the calendar. I don't think it was today though, right? I looked again this morning, I didn't see it. Yeah, I know, I was just looking at that. That thing's been beaten up. I've been saying this though. I think it's possible that rates go something crazy. The Dow is holding these 510s again. The high is 30, 1340s. I think we're going to try and rally some still. Full send all Ponzi's the opening print. I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it. If we can get the Russell to go do it, I'm okay with it. I want a little bit more than opening print, but I will certainly not be upset by opening print here. I'm partially thinking that maybe I should be long the Dow as well from 510s. Obviously, that ship has sailed at the moment, considering we are at 552s, but I'm just chilling with this at the moment. Bought some QQQ 726s. 726s? Oh, you big bullish. That's a move. 726s. Russell coming back down there a little bit. We ought to try it. Yeah, Nvidia basically backed down under opening print. Meanwhile, AMD is staying strong. I've been watching that relationship as well. I mean, if I didn't have this Russell position on, I would probably dip out. I do have to go pee though. I'll be right back. All right. Russell's still hanging in there. The Dow is getting a little bit of movement there. That would kind of have to get back up through like 575s or so to really, I think, get going. It's kind of, I think, what we're waiting for on the Russell too, like up through 13s. NASDAQ could maybe make a move up towards 280s here. We traded 268.75s before. Maybe that'll finally get us moving. If anything, I mean, we're stuck between this range here on the S&Ps, which was part of the whole thought process, is maybe we're just going to range bound between the two levels and kind of go from there. Oh, that's crazy. Has anybody done anything on school.com? What have you done on there? It's Alex Hermosi's um like similar to like a WAP type thing. It's like his platform for video hosting, course hosting, etc. Oh, you did? Hit me up, Nick. I got a question. Yeah, I'm probably not too far behind you, honestly. I'm I'm not really too sure what to do with this. I still have that Russell position on. I might just go ahead and close it and call it a day. Or just accept the risk and leave it on there, see what happens. We did kind of end up holding opening print there, it looks like, for gold. Go download Elder Scrolls. I got things I got to get done. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm delaying doing them because I don't want to go do them, but at the same time, like, I also need to do them, so no, she's gone. She out with the kids. The humidity is honestly not too bad. It only feels like 81 outside, so I might do get some outdoor stuff done. Me time. I got a couple pieces to finish up on my coal tank too. It's a nice little rally back over that 156.80s here for Moderna. Probably gonna regret that. Excuse me. Swallowed down the wrong pipe. Yeah, I'm probably gonna regret that, but NASDAQ here pushing back to these 280s. Traded it exactly almost. It'd be a little bit obnoxious if the NASDAQ decides to rally here and Russell doesn't participate in that rally. Yes. regret that, Moderna. His options are still 120 for the 190s. NASDAQ trying to push through these 280s. Hello? I feel like I should close that. I don't know what that was just now, but I'm just gonna bring my stop up here. To break even or better. I don't know what that little spike was, but looks like we're doing it again, whatever it was. Super weird action. Yeah, no, I don't fully know what to think about this. Gold doesn't seem to care though. Gold is making itself a nice little rally on up here. 50-point range on the day in there. Just continuing to make moves. I just got trailed out of the Russell there on that little push under 30-10s there. The Dow looking weak again, sitting right under those 5-10s now. That prior high was 566s. We traded 562s. Now back under there. I don't really know. I just got trailed on the Russell. It was break even. I made 2 ticks on it. So the debate here is whether we do nothing with it or not. And just walk away. Problem is now NASDAQ with this little push into 280s. If we fail here, this is essentially that next area where potential shorts come from. But Dow still holding this 510. Is there a short in here or not? I'm just watching to see if the Dow can get back under these 510s. I've waited very patiently for this thing today, and we tried it once. It's 11:44. I don't love the way it's acting here, but I'm willing to watch it for a couple more minutes before I dip out. If it holds here, that's somewhat impressive, but I guess you could make an argument if Dow's going to hold here and maybe NASDAQ's the one that goes lower, but given the inverse on those two lately, and I guess there is technically still that room to 29.011s that we've front ran so far down here. 29.017s are those lows. We probably don't go anywhere though, in reality. Although shadow is long, so maybe shorts are valid even more so here. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Under 255s triggers that 15-minute there. What are you looking to see, a move lower? It's an interesting little bottoming tail there for the Russell. The Dow, I guess, wants to hold. I'm trying to work on something, which is the only reason I'm still here. Unbelievably sick of this year's price action. Yeah, it hasn't been great the last couple of months for sure. And the Dow with a nice rally there. That's crazy. Um, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, uh, we got NVIDIA, CRM, like CrowdStrike. We got a bunch of different names coming out with earnings tomorrow after the bell, and that'll essentially be like kind of the tail end of earnings season. NVIDIA kind of towards the later end of that for some reason. Um, so I don't know. I think as we get into that, and then we start to move into September, and hopefully there's some like resolution with some of the things that are going on across the world, or at least an idea of a resolution, and then we can, even if there's like a glimmer of hope, if there's just a little bit of hope, then it's like, okay, we can start to rally from here and actually like get something going, then I think we'll be fine. At the moment, we just don't really have that, and I think that's putting a pretty decent strain on this action. It's also just a lack of volume. There's not a ton of conviction, obviously. I don't know. I go back and forth. I toss the idea around of whether or not, and this would be obviously a massive, massive move. I go back and forth with the idea that NASDAQ essentially holds here, again, in and around this 29,085 level that we were kind of watching for. And then from there, we can rally, to go get new highs, etc. But I also kind of toy with the idea of like, if this is bigger picture, kind of '09 type of scenario, where, '08 type of scenario, where markets are essentially kind of done for here, and we start to roll over from here, and then we go to like, I don't know, 18,000. Like, that also is possible. So like I'm honestly down for either one. I think both will be fun in their own ways. But yeah, I just think we need I think we need a little bit of hope, one way or the other, and then I think we can start to see some things happen. So we're kind of we're in this spot where, like, if you were to compare, and it's close, it's not quite the same, but they're close. If you were to compare like '02, '03, like the start of that move, to kind of the end of '07 to '08, to middle of '08, basically, like that chart is very similar to where we currently kind of sit. Like, just pulling up a weekly chart over there, looking at that, and then pulling up like a current weekly chart, it's like, yeah, if you look at it from like 2020 lows type of thing, it's a much bigger move. But I mean, we went from 150 on QQQ to 710s, to whereas back in the day we went from $20 to $50. That's only a 250% move compared to whatever this is, like 400% plus move. So if that ends up being the case, like maybe we're kind of in that spot now where we got like one more new high, or we roll over. And I'm not a huge fan of like trying to predict the next like '08 type market crash scenario, but it's like we don't really have a ton of volume right now. there's a lot of things moving and shaking. Like, we could certainly end up in a similar situation. But I just think from a chart perspective and an action standpoint, we just need volume. That's the one thing that we really don't have at the moment that would be super beneficial. And that's why we keep getting pushed around and moved around like super easy, especially on like these news announcements and things like that. Hold on, I gotta pee one more time. I'll be right back. $18K Nasdaq, the whole country be out on the streets. I mean, we weren't there all that long ago, realistically. I mean, a year and less than a year and a half ago. Like, essentially at the start of some of the AI boom. Like, it really hasn't been all that long. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It honestly wasn't all that long ago. The Dow's coming back down. Lotto could start paying Thursday, Friday, and in September. Yeah, I mean, some follow through would be nice, obviously. Certainly would be a very warm welcome to this market. All right. I think I'm going to call it 1220. NASDAQ kind of looking like it wants to hold this 280s again and make a move there, but I don't know. I'm not about it at the moment. The Dow is trying to get back down to those 510s. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and run. Nasdaq might try and get up through here. But again, I don't really know. We might get another like spike type action thing going here at some point today. And opening print there is 297s. Maybe we can push up through that and NASDAQ tries to go to 482s, but I don't really know that it's worth it. I've been sitting here watching for a while now to see. Initially thought 280s would get rejected from, which we did. We sold off to like 230s. Now we're kind of back up here again, so it's like, Again, I'm not really thinking that there's going to be too much to do with this at the moment. So, if anything, maybe grab an eval account if you want to throw a trade on and send it, I guess. I don't know. It's not my favorite thing here, but it is what it is. I don't really know if Russell Dow Dow's been holding, so if we got back under 510s, then I would say we probably don't, but it probably makes sense that S&Ps go back to those 77.05s and do their thing on the day and just be annoying. So just gotta let it be what it is, I guess. So yeah. Anyways, I think we gave it a good shot, and I like the trade in which we took. I like the Dow short. I like the Russell long. That ends up being a break even. So yeah, that's the only thing I can really see here. We just traded that opening print and getting rejected from it a little bit there now. So nonetheless, I'm just going to call it a day right there. So I'll check back in later on, but I don't think there's going to be anything to do with this, unfortunately. We had good moves the end of last week, or towards the end of last week, so but yeah. Anyways, I will catch you guys later. As always, if you need me, hit me up. Code MLT, all your favorite prop firms. Appreciate the love and support. Don't do anything dumb here. Totally could see one, maybe two trades potential on the day here, and that being it. Nothing too crazy to work with overall. And yeah, go from there. So Appreciate it, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.